But it's if you want I hate, and this is another unflattering truth about human nature for men and women, by the way, is that the most stable relationships are based on two things. The first one is polarity, and the second one is an imbalance in sexual market value.
That's right. So polarity means this: the man is doing what men do, and the girl is doing what women do. So we're not like trading roles. And SMV imbalance is this: if a man is 2 points more attractive than his girl, then the girl is going to be loyal, right? If she sees the man as being more attractive than her, taller, stronger, fitter, smarter, makes more money, all of that. If it amounts to 2 points or higher, then there you go.
So if that, and hopefully in favor of the guy.
Indeed.
So if a man is, at least perceptually, if that woman perceives that guy to be one step above herself in sexual
2 points
market value, that tends to be a much more stable relationship than if the guy is at or below her, or perceptually anyway, she perceives him as being low. Or maybe he was higher, and then somewhere along the way in the relationship, he devalued, like he got fat, right? Or he lost his job, or something devalued his sexual market value. And now she sees him at or below her. You want to know why?
Yeah, that's hypergamy, right? Women want superior men as partners, which is why, like, the adage goes like this: in a marriage, you can't get fat, you can't get weak, you can't become a loser, because actually it's much more likely to lead to your divorce. You have to stay strong always. You can't go down, because if you go down, you're screwed. That's how it goes, guys. That's hypergamy.
Divorces are initiated right after a woman gets a promotion at work, or suddenly she becomes something more, like her status, or her perceived status jumps higher than the guy, or she's.
This happened to Michaela Peterson, by the way. So what happened is, Michaela Peterson was just the daughter of a university professor, and she married some guy. Whatever, it's fine. But then her dad became Jordan Peterson. He became like a celebrity, which makes her the daughter of a celebrity, which makes her superior to her husband, which makes her divorce. It's literally hypergamy 101.
Making more money than the guy.
That's right.
And maybe it didn't start out that way. Maybe he was making more, and then she got a promotion, she got above him. That triggers divorce statistically, provably, empirically. Yep. The data is there.
That's right.
Your woman gets a promotion, the clock's ticking.
That's right. Because if she is making more money than you, then hypergamy wise, she says, why am I with a guy who isn't better than me? Like, I deserve better. That's all it takes, guys. Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon exclusive content, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe. Again, I changed it. So my Patreon now is deleted videos off YouTube. That's one. I have RP books that I'm reading, like audiobooks, and RP scientific literature. And guys, I actually have bought the Rational Male. I'm going to read every single Rational Male book by chapter as an audiobook. I'm doing that as we speak. And I'll do more, right? Like No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'll do The Selfish Gene. I'll do a bunch of them. It will take a while, but I'll do it. You could also drop me a donation, like Tom M here. Shout outs to him. Okay, let's continue.
Because women want a man that they can look up to. Women want a man that they can admire.
That's
women
hypergamy.
Want a man that other men want to be, and other women want to bang.
Hypergamy.
And if she's making the money, and if she's pushed herself up, even if it's perceptual, it could be complete nonsense. But as long as there is that imbalance there, you're going to have an unstable relationship. That's how it works. Polarity and SMV ratio imbalances. So why are women more willing to share a high value alpha? Well,
because all of those girls see that guy as superior, right? And also it further reinforces the point that women are with a guy that other men want to be and other women want to be with. That's the point. Women would rather share a king than be with a loyal pauper.
In polygamy, gyno, many women, one man, one high value man. as I said in that video, we're headed towards a polygamy that is female initiated polygamy,
That's right.
not male initiated.
That's right.
It's not like the emperor in the Forbidden City is getting lots of women and saying, all right, girls, get into the Forbidden City. I'm going to bang you. No, it's women are choosing those guys.
Right. But I mean, it takes two to tango, right? Like what's happening nowadays in 2023 is with dating apps and Instagram and social media and all that, it's like a hypergamy facilitator, right? So the idea is, you know, a girl goes on Tinder and she gets the attention of like 1,000 guys, right? And so she's only going to choose the superior guy there. But the thing is that all these girls are on Tinder, right? So they're all choosing that same guy. So basically the guy gets a harem, right? Or, you know, you have like Instagram where the guy has like 1 million subs and he's like super attractive, right? And so that guy is messaged by many, many women or whatever. He messages many women and they all say yes. Or there's also the, you know, like the Dubai prince or whatever. It's like a super rich, like oil baron, effectively. He's on Instagram and he messages all these Instagram models and flies them out. And again, that's literally just a harem, right? Because the king is rich enough to be able to do that, right? To afford that. So that's what it is, right? And then, you know, if you go by statistics of dating apps, you know, like they asked women this question. They said, who do you find attractive? Who do you find unattractive? So women rated the average man as below average. So let me phrase it better. 80% of men on dating apps are rated as below average, whereas men rate women on a bell curve. You know, like exactly the normal distribution. So like, you know, they find around, let's say 80% of women, 75% of women as, you know, decent or average, above average, slightly below average, you know, like a bell curve distribution. Women are not like that. They bell curve the top 20% of men into average, above average, slightly below average, and every other man is invisible. That's hypergamy.
Because as we've noticed in your other question, yes, we've unfettered all of the restraints on hypergamy.
Indeed.
Does it benefit women? Yeah, biologically it does, because those more women have access to better quality sperm, have more access, or try to anyways. If they can. Most women today have the beta buck side of hypergamy already taken care of, even if it's just perceptual, or they believe that they can.
Right. So exactly. They believe they can perceptually. That's the point. Because so the reason why women's modern sexual strategy in 2023 is this. Okay, so here's their strategy, okay? 18 to 28, I'm going to sleep around with Chad. When I'm past 28, I'm going to lock down beta bucks, and he's going to pay for me and save me from my bad decisions. That's the current strategy. And it's because there's so many losers, so many guys who've been starved of bedroom fun, that for them, any girl will do. And that's including a girl with 1 million tattoos, including a girl with an end count of 1,000. It's including a girl who's 28 plus. It's including a girl who's had 50 plus partners. It's including like etc. It's any port in a storm for men, because hypergamy has been unfettered. And I mean, the results of this is that society becomes destabilized, right? That's where we're headed. But so it goes, right?
I make my own damn money, right? Okay.
I'm a PhD, and so on.
Well, what does that mean? That means you have the long-term security, or you'd like to anyways, have the long-term security aspect of the beta buck side of hypergamy already taken care of. What's left? Sharing a high-value alpha, because those guys are few and far between. They don't need a beta. Only reason women need beta males, or have in the past, or made that compromise in the past, is because they were good candidates for long-term security.
It's because they needed provisioning, and they gave provisioning. They gave resources and stability to these girls that had nothing, right? But now that they have resources and stability because they can work themselves, what's the point? The point is that the beta male is thrown away. He's invisible because you don't need that guy. You just need the AF. That's right. That's exactly right.
If they got a hot guy back then, that was just icing on the cake. Now it is the cake. So
that's right.
It's wanting to get with that guy. So
no, now you don't need the cake. You only need the icing. So there's no need for a cake. You are the cake. That's the point.
It's women are far more likely to share an alpha male in practice anyways. They'll never admit to it. They don't want to.
They don't want to admit to it because it makes them look like they're cheap, basically.
Women, what was it? Women don't want a guy to cheat, but they love a guy who could cheat.
No, they only love a guy who could cheat. They hate it when a man does, but they'll only take a guy who can. You see what I'm saying? Only the man who has multiple options is the kind of man that women are attracted to in 2022. The kind of man that other men want to be and other women want to be with. That's the point.
That's the whole. I talked about this when I did the. I was think it was when I was talking about the. What was it? It was the last Wednesday show. As a matter of fact, it was the God pill one. Women love a man who could cheat. I know it was. They were talking about Kevin Samuels, and actually Myron and Fresh. Like a high value man deserves to cheat, or he's going to cheat, or he could cheat.
Indeed. All right, let's go to an article by Rollo Tomassi here. This is the guy that I was just doing the commentary video on. This is the guy who's written these articles, and a bunch of books too. You can see the books here. And again, I'm gonna read all of them. So right now I'm on this one. I'm reading The Rational Male on my Patreon, but I'm gonna read all of them as audiobooks. I'll read every chapter individually, and you can go on my Patreon, and it's $5 a month, and you can just listen to them as audiobooks basically. And I have a little bit of commentary as well. Okay, anyway, so this is called anger management. If the postponement of the ABC 2020 Manosphere expose has taught us anything, it's that the writers seeking to cast light on the manosphere are looking for crazy. They need crazy because it's the only thing they know how or have the patience to confront in as minimal an effort as it takes to type a few paragraphs dismissing it as the M word. Writers like R. Todd Kelly, who are Vichy writers, are also lazy. They see laser. They see an opportunity for outrage, and that sells advertising. They wanted Stormfront, and what they got was a global consortium of rational, well-reasoned men with jobs, families, and intelligence. Men from all walks of life, all ethnicities, and socioeconomic backgrounds expressing ideas that don't fit into an acculturation of feminine primacy. If you read Matt Forney's 2020 interview, you'll see the desperation for crazy in the producer's attempts to provoke him to become what they think he should be, a frothing, angry, hate-fueled M-word. That would make it easy for them. And they know how to sell crazy. The copy gets approved, the crazies get marginalized, and we move on to the next Maybelline commercial. But they don't get crazy from Matt or Roosh. Okay, Paul Elam looks a bit like Charles Manson in a certain light. They get well-reasoned sensibility that was hard to argue against. So they attempted to prompt the crazy by barraging Roosh with questions about our word in the hopes that he'd blow up. He wouldn't. They wanted it to be easy. They wanted to know all they needed to know about the manosphere by sourcing bad guys, interviewing 3 manosphere bloggers and then trotting out the crazy, showing off the carnival freak, demonizing and marginalizing him, and frog marching the crazy off the stage. They wanted fringe, the easy kind of fringe that the journalism, communications, and women's studies classes taught them that the easy answers were, wrapped up in. But the manosphere isn't fringe. For as much as R. Todd Kelly or the producers at ABC would like it to be, the manosphere is too broad, too comprehensive, too diverse for anyone familiar with it to really understand it, much less deliver an unbiased objective opinion of it. So Kelly follows formula and makes the same lame attempts at simple aspersion and M-word dismissal 2020 had already failed in doing, as evidenced by their show postponement. The Daily Beast wanted its formulaic red meat, but Kelly is just dishing out ABC's cold leftovers. Anger is a gift. One of the more common criticisms lobbed at the manosphere in general is that the men contributing and commenting are just angry. It's the easiest reaction for men and women conditioned to feminine primacy to retort with. If men are just bitter, burned, and angry, it absolves them of really having to think critically about what those men are proposing. Anger is one of those easy answers for people who don't want to be exposed to things that either they don't have real answers for, such as just be yourself, or are too comfortable in their ego investments that they don't want to be forced into any kind of introspection that might challenge them. So the manosphere is just a collection of angry men shaking their virtual fists and venting their frustrations about their loser status, their tough luck, or being on the sharp end of the SMP. There's a lot of anger towards women in the manosphere. These M-words think that all women are evil B-words out to take half their money, steal their children, and force them into indentured servitude. I pity them, I really do. Most appeals to anger read like some variation of this. While being an easy retort, playing the anger card is also a very useful social convention for the feminine, in that it's so culturally embedded that it's men who display the most anger and therefore more believable. Anger is the perfect disqualifier for the feminine. Accusing a man of M-word will always be more believable than accusing a woman of misandry, because men are always just angrier than women. Beyond the quick and easy dismissal of anger about anything even marginally critical a man might say about the feminine is an underlying conditioning that prompts people to it. By that I mean the majority of blue pill plugged in people saying anything critical to the feminine by default is rooted in anger. We can link this to women's default status of victimhood, but even relating the post-objective observation of behaviors, psychology, or social constructs pertaining to the feminine as anything less than a flattering light is automatically suspect of a male anger bias. But are we angry? I can't say that I haven't encountered a few guys on some forums and comment threads who I'd characterize as angry, judging from their comments or describing their situations. For the greater whole, I'd say the manosphere is not angry, but the views we express don't align with a feminine primary society. Men expressing a dissatisfaction with feminine primacy, men coming together to make sense of it, sound angry to people whose sense of comfort comes from what the feminine imperative has conditioned them to. Most of the men who've expressed a genuine anger with me aren't angry with women, but rather they're angry with themselves for having been blind to the game that they'd been part of for so long in their blue pill ignorance. They're angry that they hadn't figured it out sooner. Indeed. All right, back to this video here.
Women love that. They love a guy who could cheat. They love to have that kind of urgency and that kind of uncertainty and that passive dread that comes from the,
that's right.
He's really hot. He could cheat, right? That kind of unconscious knowledge. That's very arousing for women, because that guy.
That's right. And what's more is that that's what keeps a girl around, right? Like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be a strong man who's fighting, who's successful, who's confident, who's dominant, who's leading, and who's, struggling and fighting for what he believes in while also being attractive. And I mean, that maintains your relationship just passively through dread. As I said, fear is the key to maintaining most relationships.
As a high value guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. What else?
I learned about, so here's the comment. I learned about RP when I was 16 and now I don't want to go date women. I just focus on my career. Is that a bad thing? Should I change? It depends on what your goals are for your life, right? Like, if you want to have children and marriage and whatever, then maybe you should change. But ultimately, it's about you, what you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I learned about the red pill when I was 16. You, my friend, are
very lucky.
Envy of manliness.
Indeed.
Devil my own coffee. And now I don't want to go out date women. I just focus on my career. Is this a bad thing? Should I change? No. You're 16. Well, I don't know how old you look older than 16 in your abs, so you're probably not 16. No, focus on yourself.
Mental point of origin. And here's what's more. I mean, if you're thinking about marriage and stuff, I mean, you shouldn't even think about it until you're 30 plus, arguably 35 plus. So if you're focused on your career and working on yourself and keeping your body nice and all of that, by the time you're 35, you're going to be very attractive. But there's one thing that's very important. You have to practice your social skills. So I would say that you should go and try to, seduce multiple women. Just date non-exclusively. Don't worry about any long-term relationships. Just, kind of spin plates. And the reason is because you don't want to get taken for a ride by one of these girls that is, quote unquote, has had a fun and wants to settle down, right? That's the only issue I might have with the strategy of just focusing on yourself and your career and never like interacting with girls until you're like 35. It makes you a mark if you don't understand female nature.
Chase excellence, my friend. But guess what happens when you're chasing excellence? Women tend to look at you and go, hey, right. I want to get with this guy.
That's right.
My suggestion is this. I've got a whole video that's dedicated to this is do both. I don't see why people think that, I've got to focus on my career and focus on me and my masculine self-improvement. And
you can focus on your masculine self-improvement, and one of your hobbies can be to sleep with girls. I don't see why that wouldn't, it's smart, and it kind of solves all the problems, right? It prevents all of the major problems, which are, again, if you're not interested in a long-term relationship or whatever, you're quote-unquote emotionally unavailable, which women find attractive, but also it gives you more time, which allows you to focus more on your career, and also it allows you to learn about female nature so that you don't get screwed when you're older and, you know, at the peak of your SMV. So that's what I would recommend, actually.
It becomes this hobby and this obsession and everything else. The problem is once you get to that point where you are a quote unquote success, whatever that looks like, you are at a severe disadvantage because you can be taken advantage of by women who say,
Exactly.
a big fish.
Exactly.
Hey, this guy makes a lot of money and he's dumb. He spent all of his time working on his career. He spent all of his time, building a business. He spent all of his time thinking about him. He doesn't know anything about women's nature. Haha, cool. Yeah. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, and then basically you become a useful idiot, like that girl I was covering in the TED Talk. You know, like if you act like that, even it doesn't matter how successful you are as a man, you're gonna get taken for a ride.
Who's Carrie? Oh, good for you, right? You don't get some magical knowledge of women's nature because you focused on your career.
Exactly.
You still have to understand women's nature and men.
Yeah, basically you need to practice. I would say again, like what a bunch of people say is get your end count to like 50 plus and then consider being in a serious long-term relationship. At that point, you'll understand women's nature. You'll understand why the girls are doing what they're doing. You'll also understand what a good girl looks like because you've had so many examples of behaviors from so many different girls, right? I mean, to get an end count of 50 plus, even if you're above average, right, takes a long time. It takes years to do that. You can't just do that in like 2 months. I mean, maybe Brad Pitt could, but even Brad Pitt doesn't have the time for that, right? But like a super attractive man might be able to do it, right? Like a rock star or whatever. But like the above average man, it would take like 5 to 10 years to do it. So
nature. That's why it's valuable to understand the red pill. Even if you go, hey man, I'm going to be MGTOW. I'm going to need black pills. Forget it. I'm never going to deal with women again in my life. Okay. Well, if that's what you're going to do, then you have no need for this.
That's right.
And I certainly hope you're like building yourself up and doing something with yourself, which I would argue you're not, but at some point you're going to be at a disadvantage. Like guys who just focus to one, and I know I've worked with lots of guys for a long time. I've worked for very rich men, and I've worked with very rich men who have been taken to the cleaners in divorce because they simply they believed that their wives were operating from the old set of rules.
That's right. They believed that they had an old order woman, right? And unfortunately, in 2023, the chances of you getting a girl like that are slim to none. So if you don't know how to protect yourself, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Now, would it have been a better idea for them to have learned the red pill? Would it have better, benefited them to understand intersexual dynamics? Yes, it would.
Of course it would have.
So you don't get taken to the cleaners. PJ Washington sure as hell could have used the red pill, but he was focusing on his career, man.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, a lot of NBA players and athletes in general are the best kind of men for women. And why? Because to become a hyper athlete, you need to be super focused and super competitive. But also, you don't have to be smart to be an athlete, right? I mean, it depends on the sport, right? If it's a very strategic kind of game that you're playing and you're the quarterback, for example, of course you have to be smart. But what I'm saying is, you need to know basic strategy which can be taught to you, and then you can just do the same strategy over and over and be physically superior and be fine, right? So what I'm saying is that these apex guys who are not that smart are then taken advantage of by women because they're highly physically attractive, so they have good genes, and they're also stupid, so they're easy to manipulate. So these girls can then convert them into betas and keep that money forever while also having the good genes. That's the point, right? That's why these girls actually love athletes so much. Okay. Anyway, let's go on to the relationship advice post. This was posted 1 day ago. So they're both 35. My fiance is ending our relationship. I'm ugly crying as I'm typing this, so please forgive me all my mistakes. My fiance is 35 male, and I are 3 years into a relationship. We got engaged during the C word, and we were planning our life together. We started building a new house, got 2 dogs, and everything was going well, or so I thought until today. I was always upfront about not wanting children, never wanted them as long as I can remember. This fact was always conveyed to my romantic partners, as I believed that this was not something that should be left undiscussed. So naturally, I found a partner, that's a red flag, she's saying partner, that believed that this is not something, I found a partner that shared this plan. My fiance used to tell me that he likes his free time and independence too much to want a child. Now my fiance tells me that having children is becoming more and more of importance to him. Apparently it's been sitting with him for a while. I asked him how serious he was, if he's fully committing to having and raising a human being, and that if he's willing to leave the relationship if he can't be a father. Also, I hypothesized to him that if I compromise and try for a child, his confidence in the relationship will change. He told me that he knows where I stand on having children and won't let that compromise happen. I'm grieving right now, hurt and feeling surreal, feels like it's a bad dream. It doesn't feel real to me, please help. So here's the thing. This is why men tend to be with younger women, right? Because they can actually have children. If you're 35 plus, that possibility is gone. So you're trying to make your necessity a virtue, right? You tell every new partner you're not interested in children, la la la. But actually what's happening is you are taking away that choice from them because they can't have children if they're with you. They can't. So by being with you, not only do your genes die, but their genes die too. And for some men, it's too much, right? Because our biological imperative is to reproduce. So here's 998 upvotes. Don't change your mind. A friend of mine did this. They got divorced in 2022 after having a kid. She gave in, resentment, divorce. Okay. 94 upvotes. I believe 2 of my friends are going through the opposite, although they haven't showed it publicly. One friend has been upfront and adamant from day one she doesn't want to have kids, and the other friend says he's fine never having children. But I see how he is with my friend's children. I remember him talking about wanting a big family years ago before they dated, and now he's dragging his feet on certain life events and it's putting a strain on the relationship. I'm worried that he's not being honest with his partner and will grow to resent her in the future. Again, guys, our biological imperative is to reproduce. So if you're not doing it, like, it's gonna have a strain on your psyche for a lot of people, not just women, but men as well. Of course, men can wait longer to do it, but this is why men tend to get with younger women, right? Alright, we're going to end the video there. Again, if you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Again, I've changed it, so I have deleted videos from YouTube, that's one section. I have a section on RP literature. I'm going to make a curated list and read it like audiobooks, so you can enjoy that. I'm going to read all the rational males in there. And of course, I'm going to do RP scientific articles. So, we'll talk about evolutionary psychology, biology, psychology, behaviorism, etc. And I'll explain those articles as well, so you can see where the thinking comes from. Okay? You can also drop me a donation like Tom M here. Shoutouts to him. The link is in the description. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, especially if you took the time to listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next video.